Honestly, I find it crazy how nowadays most people, and even myself, used to hate studying. And the thing is, it's not your fault. Most people think it's their fault, there's something wrong with them, but it's not the case. And not only this, but you're not alone, most people struggle with the same problem. And I first wanted to start with an analogy. In my family, we had this ritual where we would eat fruit after each meal before the dessert. And there's this day that I forgot to eat the fruit, so I ate the dessert first. You know, it was really tasty. And then my mom was like, "Oh, you forgot to eat your fruit." And it was probably like a banana or grapes or something. And then after eating the dessert and the sweet thing, I ate the banana or the grapes that my entire family had eaten, and for them they said, "Oh wow, it's pretty good actually, it's pretty sweet." And then I ate it, and it was really sour, and it was horrible. And you might be asking yourself, what the fuck does this have to do with studying? And it's basically the fact that our brain works by association, by comparison, meaning that if you just ate something that is really sweet, and now you're eating something that isn't as sweet, by comparison, that thing will be sour. But maybe without that first really sweet thing, that thing would be really sweet. And for studying, what happens is that if you're having really fun activities throughout your entire day, that makes studying suck. Now, disclaimer, I am not shitting on fun activities such as hanging out with friends, such as exercising, going to the gym, and doing basically any healthy fun activities. These are good and you should keep them. The problem is the extra fun activities, basically the addictions of nowadays. Porn, junk food, social media, video games, and then even substance addictions such as, smoking, drugs, alcohol. These things are so fun, and by comparison to studying, studying just isn't fun at all. Imagine someone that the entire day they're playing video games, they're watching Instagram and TikTok, watching porn, eating junk food. And now imagine trying to put them and sitting them in a table and saying, okay, you study for 2 hours. They won't be able to, or at least they'll find it really boring and they'll hate it. And this is even proved by neuroscience. We have this molecule in our brain called dopamine, and it's a neurotransmitter that basically signals motivation. It makes you want to do a specific activity. And in these addictions, these extra fun activities, we get really big dopamine spike, very high, so we're very motivated to do these activities. But there's a big but. When this dopamine spike is too high, our sensitivity to the dopamine kind of goes down. And then, well, when we do these activities, our motivation is normal now. But when we don't do these activities and we do something else that isn't as fun, now it sucks. The dopamine spike that was this high from the addictions, when we do something less fun, might be this high, and now the motivation we have for it is very low. And so we don't feel motivated, we procrastinate, and it feels like shit. The solution is easier said than done, but it's the truth, which is reducing the addictions, reducing these extra fun activities. It's not about trying to make studying more fun, it's trying to make the rest less fun and reducing these addictions. And this is a theme that really moves me, right? The addictions, because I truly believe we are in a society that profits of addiction. Every single social media, porn company, junk food company is trying to make you addicted. They have been spending millions to learning how your brain works to hack it and addict you. Short form content like scrolling, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, it's precisely made to keep you on their platform because that's how they make money through ads. McDonald's, Burger King, and whatever big, junk food company makes money from you eating there again and again and again. And same thing with porn. Something with video games, you're buying the fucking game, buying characters and skins and fucking passes and whatever else there is to buy. They spend a lot of money to hack your brain, to addict you. So it's not your fault. That's the thing. It's not your fault that you're addicted. Because the entire society is trying to get you addicted as well, these companies. And so this is why I'm creating a revolution. I call it the Neuro Revolution, and you can join in for free in the description. It's a community of men, of people trying to quit these fucking addictions. Trying to, say no to these companies that they just make money from addicting you. They're evil. Because they know that their products make you less healthy. They harm you. But do you think they care about this? No, they just care about their fucking profits. So they'll keep fucking spending money to get you more addicted on other things. This really just fucking moves me. I fucking hate these companies, dude. Now, let's say you've been reducing your addictions. You've joined the community, you have the support, and you're actually conquering these addictions one by one. You might say, yeah, okay, but studying still sucks. It still requires effort. It's still not fun. And to this, I answer, yeah, that's kind of the point. You might want to click off after this, and I understand, but you need to understand that studying takes effort. Learning takes effort. And, a few years ago, I had this Portuguese test, and, I was studying, so it was late afternoon. I took my study materials, and I started studying. And then when it started to get hard, I stopped. And then I went to do something else, and half an hour, 1 hour later, I came back and tried studying, and then got a fucking notification. And then, got distracted, scrolled a little bit, answered the message, then went back to studying. Then I'm like, oh shit, like X person posted something on their story, so I'll check it out. I'll go back to studying, and then fucking phone rings again. So really distracted, and every time studying started to get hard, I stopped, went to do something else, and just kept doing the easy things. Now the next day, I did the test. I didn't do well. You might imagine why. And if you're into the gym, you know that you have to train close to failure. What this means is that you really need to push hard to build the muscle. And if you stop when it starts to get hard and it starts to hurt, you're like 5 reps away from failure. You're not building muscle, basically. Or if you're building like a fraction of what you could be building if you actually went close or even to or even beyond failure. That's because the gains are made when it's hard. And this also works for our brain. Learning, the process of learning, is basically the process of neuroplasticity, which is our brain's ability to change, right? Our brains are constantly changing because of new stimuli from the environment. And if you want these changes to happen, it's not easy. It requires effort. And learning and getting things into your memory requires effort because you're literally building new pathways, you're connecting new ideas that you didn't have before. You're creating literally like new connections. And this thing requires effort. It requires you to focus and keep doing it when it's hard. It's just like the gym, when it starts to get hard isn't when you stop. You keep going, you feel the pain, because the point is that. The point is feeling the pain. You'll talk to anyone that goes to the gym and you say, oh, it really hurts when I go to the gym. They'll look at you like, yeah, that's a fucking point. So studying is the same thing. And I know this answer kind of sucks, but it's kind of the point that it takes effort. Now, the effort can be directed in a way that makes it easier and makes it better, right? Because if you have 1,000 notifications distracting you every time, putting your focus back on the task is hard. So here's a simple protocol you can follow to make the process of studying easier. First of all, is have a ritual. So I personally really like to drink coffee because I study in the morning, so I'll brew my coffee, and that's part of the ritual of studying. I'll put on some music, but it's the fact that you're modulating your environment for that task. So now, your brain will associate that thing with studying, and then it's easier. So if you always have the coffee, you have the music, maybe even a smell can work. If you have a diffuser or if you light some candles, it can also work. Because you're creating the environment that is associated with studying, and that environment can be quite comfortable, right? Waking up, having a little coffee on the table, some music in the headphones, it's almost fun because it still takes effort, but it makes the process of having the effort more fun. You can also try having challenges, right? Challenges are really fun. So let's say you have to study a specific material. So let's say in my case, fucking biology, right? Neuroscience. You set a timer and you're like, okay, I want to finish this by X minutes, X hours. And then you're challenging yourself, and you see if you set this up, if you're behind, like you'll get this fucking drive, this motivation, like, oh shit, I have half the time and I've only done like a third or a quarter of the actual material. So this can actually help you focus and make the process more fun. Of course, turn notifications off. You're trying to focus. If you have things distracting you, it's not going to work. So you can keep the phone out of the room. You can keep the phone out of the table you're working, or if you do keep it, keep the notifications disabled. Ideally, you're on airplane mode, or if you can't, just put on the do not disturb mode, off the notifications, so that you're not distracted by the phone. And if you can do this on your computer as well, that's ideal. Finally, to help you focus, you need to understand that we humans function by cycles. So you probably heard of something called the circadian rhythm, which is the rhythm of basically sleeping and waking up. So we have this about 24-hour circadian rhythm that basically will change and will release some hormones at specific times to make us wake up, to make us feel sleepy and go to sleep, then wake up, and it's a cycle that repeats every 24 hours, sorry. But there's also a smaller cycle, which isn't talked about that much, which is a 90-minute cycle, a 90-minute block. So if you've done more research about sleep, you know that each sleep cycle takes about 90 minutes. And you can actually apply this to your work. So the ideal time for focus is about 90 minutes. So what you can do is, let's take the challenge and put these two together. So you want to do one chapter of neuroscience in 90 minutes. So you do, that's your challenge, and you'll do it or you'll not do it. Don't, be angry at yourself if you didn't achieve your own challenge that you set yourself. Just try to view it as fun, it's playing. And then have a 10, 20, 30-minute break. Look outside, get some fresh air. Don't go on your phone and scroll, because it's just going to fuck up the next studying blocks. And then you can go back and study more. You can also have a longer break, do one of these in the morning, one in the afternoon, whatever suits you best. I do find that having set a 90-minute block makes it easier, because you're not like, I have to study indefinitely. It's like, okay, there's 90 minutes left, there's 1 hour left, half an hour left, 10 minutes left. And so it makes it easier to keep going. Now I want to go back to addictions, just a quick word, because they make sustained effort difficult. Let's take social media and porn, for example. You're always scrolling and looking at a new thing, new information, a new video that might be better, might be worse than the current one. So you're training yourself, your attention span to be lower, because you're constantly changing the stimulus and the information and even the emotion you feel. On Instagram, some videos will make you happy, some angry, some sad, some motivated, some will be ass, some will be really good, some will be funny. And when you're studying, there isn't that variation. It's one single thing for a prolonged time. And you need to train this type of attention and not distrain it through addictions. So this really just drives home the importance of quitting the addictions. And the third tip that I wanted to give you is, if you still, after doing everything here, still feel unmotivated and even incapable of studying sometimes. So a few years ago, right after COVID lockdown, I was watching these motivational videos like David Goggins and people, like the productive people saying, yeah, you need to wake up early and study. And I was like, okay, I got motivated and was like, okay, I want to do this. Let me do this. So I set up an alarm for the next day at like 6 a.m. And normally I would wake up much later. So I went to bed and I didn't sleep. I scrolled and I kept scrolling. And I scrolled until like 2, 3 p.m. watching YouTube, watching Instagram, probably watching porn as well. Just kept scrolling and lost like 5 hours of sleep. Then eventually I did go to sleep. And then I had like 3 to 4 hours of sleep, which definitely isn't enough. The alarm rang and I didn't get up. I turned it off, went back to sleeping, and only woke up a few hours later, like 11 a.m. So I lost that morning of studying, even though I was so motivated the night before. And this happened multiple times. Even when I set myself that I was going to work out in the morning, I definitely wouldn't. It's even harder to work out in the morning than study. And I also felt like, what the fuck is wrong with me? But there wasn't anything wrong with me. The thing is, poor sleep ruins your ability to focus, basically. Because of two main reasons. First of all, like, you don't have any energy. You need so much energy and focus to put into studying, as we previously mentioned. And now you're trying to do that with poor sleep. It's like, try to run a fucking marathon on 2 hours of sleep. You won't be able to. And studying also requires effort and energy. Our brain requires energy. So after a poor night of sleep, you can focus less. You can basically put less mental effort into focusing, which makes it harder and gives you that feeling of being unable to study. And not only this, right, but poor sleep actually makes the function of one of the brain areas worse. So we have the thalamus. The thalamus is basically kind of in the middle of our brain. And sensory information, so from the touch, from sight, from taste, first passes through it, and then it will select which ones are good to focus on, and then it will send them to the respective areas of our brain that will, handle these sensory informations. But when this thalamus, the thalamus doesn't work properly because of poor sleep, it can't appropriately select which sensations to focus on. And this is what gives you basically ADHD tendencies, where you're trying to work and then a sound will make you lose focus. You'll see like a bird out the window, then you'll like start thinking about something else and you've disconnected completely for like 10 to 15 minutes. You remember something because of a specific taste, and it makes you more likely to lose your focus. And then it requires more energy to bring your focus back to the task. Which, of course, as we just mentioned, you have less of that energy because you slept less. So really focus on your sleep. If you improve your sleep, every other area of your life will improve. Your fitness, your health, your relationships, there's no downside to improving your sleep and only positives. If you're like me, a few years ago, you lose sleep because of these addictions, because you keep scrolling, you keep watching videos, playing video games, watching porn. And this basically ruins your sleep. And even myself, right? I watch sometimes on YouTube educational videos, but even sometimes later at night, when it's like, okay, so 7:30, I have to turn everything off and go take a shower. Sometimes I stay half an hour, 1 hour more watching the educational videos that aren't even entertainment. They aren't even scrolling short form content. They are long form educational videos, but it still captures my attention and captures me. And so then my nighttime routine, which is supposed to be 90 minutes, ends up being 60 or 30 minutes. And then I have a less good night of sleep. And then the next day my focus is worse. And it's a bunch of problems. So addictions, it's this thing that you really need to quit. And if you found this video was valuable and you'd like more information on quitting addictions, you can check out my full course on the Neuroscience of Addictions, how to reprogram your mind to get free of them. And if you wouldn't like to purchase a paid course, you can always check out the free community in the description. I hope this helped. No pressure, and I'll see you next video. Bye-bye.